Hello, friends, and well, February is finally over. Strange how this shortest month of the year almost seems like the longest. Some say that February is the shortest because God knows we would die if we had to cope with it even one more day. Here on Spring Creek, the rolling mists alternately hid and revealed the mountains across the valley. Occasionally, ice or snow actually brightened the woods around us, as well as stranding us here on Trust Mountain. We're reminded of the Scottish Highlands, and that one of our Scots friends describes as having 11 months of rain and 1 month of bad weather. Now, more than ever, we have to work harder to keep our emotional balance and spiritual moorings, not forgetting that many around us are dealing with the same winter blues and even more severe, life-threatening weather.
So it seems right at the moment to focus on more upbeat reflections in this word from Stillwood. Many of you have raised our spirits by sharing your insights. For instance, one of our longtime friends recently remarked, "Being with you in your living room, conversing with you, is such a blessing. The sense of community that I feel spreads to everyone who is participating, wherever and whenever that might be happening."
And she added this insight: "Thank you for sharing Richard Rohr's understanding that we need both love and suffering to celebrate God. My dualistic thinking," she said, "wants love to obliterate suffering. But now I am thinking that the two are part of some mysterious whole. And my journey with God includes both." I wonder if that isn't part of the message of February. One of my perennial joys in February is to watch for the first brave crocus to break through the frozen ground. And then I fall on my knees.
In your long-standing fascination with the courage of the crocus, I have often seen you brushing the mud off your jeans, but never the smile from your face. And that reminds me of what another couple shared with us just a few weeks ago. They said, "We have, in the past 10 years, stepped off the treadmill of busyness and business to finally live our dream of simplicity and solitude. We live in the forest of southwestern Canada. Initially, for some insane reason, we brought all our busyness into the woods with us. But with the pandemic forcing us to just stay home, we are settling into the life we always wanted."
Paul, should I add that I have seen you brushing the mud from your butt after slipping on February's melting ice? There was no smile on your face right then. and maybe just another reminder that love and suffering go together.
Yes.
Another of the viewers, our viewers, a landscape architect living in New York City, admitted that he was feeling defeated lately and talked to his great aunt Dorothy about the loneliness he was experiencing. She told me, he said, that she has been alone most of her life. No children and husbands who died too young. But she is never alone. She has the Holy Spirit with her every day as a companion, guide, and friend. I still don't understand that fully, he said, but I was moved. And now I often think that I'm never alone. What a gift.
I suspect we could all benefit from a great Aunt Dorothy who doesn't hesitate to get to the heart of it all. But to continue that story, this frustrated landscaper eventually made some major decisions. He has bought 100 acres in the Berkshires, that would be western Massachusetts, and has chosen to be alone. The key here is the free choice he has made to change his life.
Do you suppose that great Aunt Dorothy provided the missing piece in his life that helped him to see his situation differently? As I consider it, she gave him hope. Most of us were taught the 3 theological virtues early in catechism class: faith, hope, and love. But I have to admit that to my 3rd grade mind, the term theological had no meaning whatsoever. Love made sense to me. I sort of got that faith meant to believe in something or someone. In my mind, faith equaled trust.
So, what about hope? As kids, I remember we usually looked forward to something. A favorite meal, an outing with friends, summer vacation, Christmas gifts. I guess that's how we understood hope. And as time passed, though, hope, for me, became more goal-oriented, like realizing a dream. I hoped to graduate. I hoped to get ordained. I hoped to get an assignment that I really wanted, and to have close friends in ministry. Well, as I advanced in age, wisdom, and grace, as well as studies, I read a whole lot of books that explored the need for faith and, of course, the importance of love. But not nearly as many focused on hope.
Well, ditto for me in the monastery. At some point, I realized that there was a dearth of books on hope, as if it weren't as important as the other 2 theological virtues.
Mm-hmm.
Then an image from my elementary catechism popped into my mind, perhaps with an assist from great Aunt Dorothy. It was just a simple sketch of a blooming plant with the roots labeled faith, the flower labeled love, and the stem labeled hope. My aha moment came when I asked this: what will hold up a drooping flower of love unless there is a sturdy stalk of hope?
Good thought. You know, over the years, I've realized that hope is closely allied with courage. Going through a prolonged period of uncertainty, like this pandemic, that demands the best in us, often calls for more courage than we believe we even have. It can tax our resolve and sap our strength to go the distance. I was impressed by how one of our viewers, who lives alone now after the death of several family members, has learned to cope. She watches out for her elderly neighbors, doing things like taking one a hot meal, helping another to drag her trash cans out to the curb, calling one to ask if she can pick up some item at the store for them while she's out shopping. Just listening to the lilt in her voice, I realized that these little acts of kindness were not only helping others, they were gifting the giver with joy.
Yes. Having hope, keeping up courage, extending kindness can add up to joy even in some very dreary circumstances. Paul, I love the way you keep an eye on some of our neighbors. The elderly couple with serious health problems. The young ones finding a way to live healthily in the woods. And those looking after their goats, their pigs, their chickens, and what else? Oh yes, those wonderful horses. You also watch out for the wild ones, like the deer, your girls, the squirrels, the rabbits, and the occasional bobcat. And before the next snowstorm, you refill the bird feeders, neighbors one and all.
I guess. But we can't forget all the viewers who encourage us to carry on when we feel that our days are just a tad too full. We both appreciated very much this one sweet note that said, watching your videos is such a comforting experience. I feel like I'm sitting right there with you, and you're offering me wise advice before we head into the kitchen for a cup of tea and a sandwich. Well, the true wisdom that Karen and I would like to share with you today, by way of conclusion, comes from both a contemporary folk singer and a renowned 20th century American theologian. First, the folk singer.
Perhaps you are already familiar with Carrie Newcomer and the album she released in 2010 entitled Before and After. One of my favorite cuts on that CD still is called A Simple Change of Heart. And that text still speaks to my heart today. She's saying, I feel something has shifted. I know the story's changed. In the window of a crisis, we can build a better frame. Come on and look inside you. That's the best place to start. The greatest revolution is a simple change of heart. We tried yelling at each other. It hasn't worked so well. Throwing gas on fire never helped, as far as I can tell. Throwing stones cuts deep. A little kindness cuts deeper still. So let's just remember the greatest revolution is a simple change of heart.
And finally, since we've mentioned those three virtues of faith, hope, and love several times already, one of the very best reflections that we've ever found is a passage from a work called The Irony of American History by a preeminent theologian of the last century, Reinhold Niebuhr. He says this: nothing that is worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. Nothing which is true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we must be saved by faith. And nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. And no virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or our foe as it is from our standpoint. Therefore, we must be saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness.
Thanks again for joining us, and thank you all for sharing your own thoughts and insights with us, so we can pass them along to others. We are not alone in what we are going through, and we can cherish one another in that place within us where the divine spark resides.